Okay, well, welcome to part 2 of deciphering Sir Francis Drake's letter to Queen Elizabeth after beating the Spanish Armada. And as we recall, the first line was, "The absence of my Lord Admiral, most gracious sovereign, hath emboldened me to put my pen to the paper." So now we'll do the second line. But first, I just wanted to show, I did make a bit of a mistake here. Last time I said that this A was a big flourishing line up here like this A, but I was wrong. This is the M, along M and then the Y. And this A, because it's got a circle here, that means it's like a modern A. So it does not have this line like this one. So anyway, so that's my up here, and this is half. So carrying on. So here he's writing on, O, and he puts a little line through to make it more like a capital O and small n. And this is Friday. So the F, and then the stick that makes it an F. This is one of those more traditional of this period R's. I, he looks like he might have dotted the I or maybe not. This is the D again. An A, modern A, and a little teeny Y, very similar to this pygmy Y here. So on Friday, that's just some kind of mark. This is on Friday last. This is the word last. Now this L, he really writes short L's that'll almost look like a C or an O, but this is actually an L. This is again a modern A. Now, this is ST. Last time he did the S and then he made the T all connected together. But here he wrote the S, a stick, then he took up his pen, and then he looks like he wrote the T as a separate letter here. So this is last. On Friday last. Now this is upon. So U, P, he runs the P's together. O, N. Upon. This, again, I don't know what it is, a punctuation mark perhaps, but it is not any letter. So upon great, again, G. It's hard to make out the R. Well, it's supposed to be great, but this looks like a D, not a T. But that's what the modern translation gives us. Upon great. Now this word is consideration. Upon great consideration. So that's, again, those C's that look like modern R's. C-O-N. And then our S here. Or sorry, I guess the S comes all the way here. There should be an I in here, but he normally doesn't dot the I's. This is the fancy D that on its side. E, his type of R's. And now this is definitely one of these A's. Considerate. Now he's using the early English version of consideration where it used the French C-I-O-N. That's why there's no T here. So consideration, so C-I, no dot, O-N. So upon great consideration, we left E. Now here again, looks like an S, and then the T, but because he puts a line through it, that makes it an F-T. And as they're apt to do, he added an extra E, which we don't use anymore. So we left the army. Now this is a bit tricky because it's the A, same as admiral. That's his R. This is Y. This looks like a C, but the translation is army, and obviously he's talking about the Navy, but I guess he used the word army. Of, this is the of, same as before. O, and then this S-looking thing with the little dipsy doodle makes it an F. And the Army of Spain. So Spain is S, but they tend to continue the little tail here to make it look almost like an 8, but it's an S, capital S, P, A, Y, A, N. So the Army of Spain. So, S, O, all run together. So far, but far instead of F-A-R, he's spelling it F-A, double R, R-R-E, F-A-R-R-E is far, to the, now this one's quite interesting for a couple of reasons. This says the northwards, but it looks like, so this is an N, but must be his version of a capital N. So it's this circular thing here, and this little dipsy doodle here, which makes this a capital N. O-R-T-H-E, and then very interestingly, this looks like a modern capital W. So I haven't seen this anywhere. North, and then A, R, the old style R, D, and this is interesting when they add an S at the end, especially of D's, he kind of runs it together and puts this thing. So that's a D and an F, S, sorry. So what's happened here, if I just show you, so they fought in the English Channel. The Spanish Armada came up from Portugal and Spain, clashed with Sir Francis Drake and the English fleet in the Channel. They were supposed, the Armada was supposed to pick up some troops from Spanish-held Netherlands, and then they were going to invade England. Had they done that, we'd all be speaking Spanish now. But thanks to the English fleet harassing them and pushing them off, they did not hook up with their troops here. Or I've also read that the troops weren't ready, but anyway, so they left them so far to the northwards. Maybe that was a name for the North Sea area, I'm not sure. So that then the English fleet, I guess, basically, after great consideration, decided to turn around and come back because they knew now that the Armada was screwed. And what they ended up doing was, believe it or not, they went all the way around and lost many other ships because they didn't have any maps. They didn't know all the tricky parts here. And a lot of them, apparently the shipwrecks all the way down through here. Now, Ireland was still Catholic versus Protestant England and Scotland. So Ireland harbored a lot of the mariners that got washed ashore here, but that's a different story. But anyway, that's what's going on when he wrote this letter. So basically he's saying we left the Armada so far to the northwards. So as they, T-H-E and then Y. Now this C, sometimes they use them. It's almost like a W and then they curl it over. This is a C. O-U-L-D. So the Armada could neither N-E-I, no dot, T-H-E-R, looks like a modern R, could neither recover or go back to recover. So fancy R like this one I guess supposed to be E, C, very malformed O, V, like we had up here in sovereign. So R, E, C, O, V, E, R. They could neither recover this one, you could probably guess, is England. Some kind of fancy E, N, this Y, which again is the G. And then a very baby small L. Land, this is the big A again, N, and the D which curls over. So they could neither recover England nor N-O-R. Scotland. So again, fancy S like here. C-O-double-T. Very small L. A with the big line. N-D. And this little flourish here is, I don't know what that is, but he adds it occasionally. So they could neither recover England nor Scotland. Period. Well, there's no period, but this dipsy doodle here may be like a comma that he just adds to the end of the word to break up the sentence. So anyway, maybe that's enough for today, given a bit of historical context as well, and we'll continue with the rest in part 3.